Paldean Fates is out very soon, and we haven't talked about it on the channel up until right now because it's a collector set. We are getting some really fantastic arts for cards that we've already seen, but there are very few mechanically unique cards and even fewer cards that potentially could make an impact on the meta. But today, we're going to look at some of the cards that could make an impact on the meta. I'm Jet from inthirdperson.com. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I know this is a pretty thin set, but there's some stuff, maybe like this Espathra EX. It's got the ability Dazzling Glaze. As long as this Pokemon's in the active spot, attacks used by your opponent's active Pokemon cost 1 colorless more. This can be shut off by Path to the Peak in the immediate term, but with rotation coming up, this could be very annoying for a lot of the basic decks. And we're getting a lot of big basic decks in particular going forward with all the Paradox Pokemon coming out. So this could be a factor, and you combine this with the Pokemon HQ, and then it makes your basic Pokemon that need 2 more energy to attack, which is kind of annoying. However, its attack Psyball does 30 damage, and this attack does 30 more damage for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. So this thing's not really gonna hit very hard for the most part. Like, you're gonna have to fill this thing with a ton of energy before it's even going to matter. So just some theory crafting here. I think this could work with the Xatu from Paradox Rift, which lets you attach a psychic energy and draw 2 cards. And that could be the way of building up an Espathra on the bench. And the other Espathra from Paradox Rift with the stance ability where you can't attack it basically when it evolves into that, could be a factor as well, where you load a bunch of energy on it on your second turn, or you try and get a Tulip into the discard pile, you attack for 140 damage, they can't attack you on the next turn, gives you an opportunity to build up another Flittle to turn into a Espathra EX and finish them off. I don't think this is going to be any good. Maybe we'll try it out on the channel. I don't believe in it very much, but it's one of the few unique EX cards in the set. Great Tusk EX has a horrible ability, Quaking Destruction. If this Pokemon is in the active spot at the end of your turn, discard the top 5 cards of your deck. Why would you want that? And the attack Great Bash, 260 damage. This attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. 260 Shred is nice, but 4 energy is a lot, and the ability is absolutely horrid. And up until like just before starting this video, I thought this card was absolutely horrible. But then I got to thinking, like, is there a way to make this work? And theoretically, maybe. We've got Path to the Peak to shut off the ability. We've got Garchomp EX with its Hydrolander attack. You could use this to get the energy onto the Great Tusk. We can use the upcoming Drillbur card that's coming in Temporal Forces to get the energy into the discard pile. Its ability just lets you take 3 energy from the deck and put it in the discard pile. And of course, we've got Sada's Vitality to accelerate energy to ancient Pokemon as well. Now it's got to be 1 energy to 2 different ancient Pokemon. It's a whole thing, but there's maybe just enough pieces where I'm thinking maybe this isn't the worst card, but it still seems pretty bad, especially if you're trying to make it as its own deck. Iron Treads EX is also not particularly spectacular, with even less support. It's got the attack Clad Rolling for 2 metal and a colorless, does 150 damage, and if you discard a future booster energy capsule attached to this Pokemon, you take 150 less damage on the following turn. And this can make it pretty tanky. 220 HP it's fine for a basic EX, and if you are taking 150 damage less, then you're probably going to get 2-shotted instead of 1-shotted, which is fine. But of course, you have to have a future booster capsule to make it work, and there's going to be times you just aren't going to have the future booster capsule, which kind of makes you a dead duck. On top of that, energy acceleration pre-rotation is going to be a problem. Post-rotation, we do have the Matang with the Metal Maker ability. Lets you look at the top 4 cards of your deck and put any number of basic metal energy you find there and attach it to your Pokemon in any way you like. We also have the Crypto Maniacs, the card that lets you put 2 cards that you want at the top of your deck to make the energy acceleration a little more realistic, but I still don't think it's worth it to make Iron Treads EX go. For anyone still playing Chien-Pao, we have a new Frigibax. It's got the attack collect, we just draw a card, which is better than the other 70 HP Frigabacks with 2 retreat. I probably would still just play the 60 HP one with 1 retreat, and that one's a little better. But if you need the 70 HP one for whatever reason, this is going to be the way to go. Charmeleon is a new addition to the game, and it's got the ability Flare Veil, where you get to prevent all effects of attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon done to this Pokemon. And the big thing with this is that it cannot be hit by Sablei's Lost Mine. Now you're playing 1, maybe 2 Charmeleon at max, but Charizard is a really popular deck right now, and this technically makes it better, so we've got to flag it here. For anyone playing United Wings, we have some new support for you. This Kilowattrel can evolve up from the Wattrel in United Wings, and it has a move called United Thunder, where it does 10 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for each Pokemon in your discard pile that has the United Wings attack. Now, we're only doing 10 damage instead of 20, so you're not going to get as high of a damage number as you were attacking the active with a United Wings attack. Kilowattrel doesn't have the United Wings attack. It has United Thunder, so that's not going to build up your United Wings attack. However, getting a snipe attacker in United Wings could make the deck a little better. It technically does make the deck a little better. I don't know if it's enough to make it meta relevant, but hey, here you go. Mime Jr. is a silly card where for colorless, just free, your opponent chooses one of their Pokemon's attacks. Use this attack as this attack. Now, if you are if you're playing against like an Arceus V-Star and Arceus V and they only have Arceus V, you could potentially use this as Trinity Charge. If you're playing against Giratina V-Star, you could use and they only have Giratina V-Star, you could potentially Lost Impact them, which would be absolutely hilarious. But I think more often than not, this card is going to be useless. If you're playing a poison deck, Atticus is going to be an amazing addition to your deck. If your opponent's active Pokemon is poisoned, which you can do with something like a Brute Bonnet or any other effects of your Pokemon or item cards or supporters, you get to shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 7 cards when you play Atticus, which is absolutely amazing. Poison decks are going to love this. Moonlit Hill is a new stadium that basically only helps Gardevoir. Once during each player's turn, that player may discard a basic psychic energy from their hand in order to heal 30 damage from each of their Pokemon. For Gardevoir specifically, lets you heal off your Pokemon so that you can attach more energy with Psychic Embrace and do even more damage. Also gets energy into the discard pile for attaching, and this might be the last hurrah before we see Gardevoir go through rotation and it's going to lose a whole bunch of stuff. I don't think Gardevoir is dead. I'm almost certain it will get some new support down the road and it'll just be very different from the deck we have now, and Moonlit Hill could be a part of that equation. But yeah, Gardevoir is going to take a big hit before rotation, but this is a nice little buff in the immediate term. Last card we're going to talk about today is Crisis Punch. This TM lets you do 280 damage. You got to have 3 colorless energy on, and you use this attack only when your opponent has exactly 1 prize card remaining. And one of the most obvious use cases for this is Lost Box with Cramorant, where the Lost Provisions ability actually negates the cost of the Crisis Punch as well. So Cramorant could actually be a better Radiant Charizard, doing 280 damage for free, which is absolutely nuts. And any sort of deck that runs a 3 energy attacker, Arceus V-Star is oftentimes, it's always got 3 energy on. And any sort of 3 prize attackers like a Miraidon maybe could take advantage of this card as well. Though if you're playing a multi-prize deck, you're going to have to be mindful of the fact that your opponent might not get to 1 prize. So your usefulness may vary there, but I think that the Crisis Punch does have a decent chance of cracking into the meta. Thus concludes our look at Paldean Fates and some of the noteworthy cards from a gameplay perspective. Are you excited at all for these cards in terms of actually playing them? Am I sleeping on this set or any cards in particular? Or are you don't really care about the gameplay side and you really just want to collect the shiny cards? Let me know in the comments below. But for now, I gotta get going. Thank you so much for watching. You can find me on all the things: YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at In Third Person. You can find me on Twitch at In Third Person, where I stream the Pokemon trading card game every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And check out the website, inthirdperson.com, for more articles and videos on video games, board games, and other nerdy pursuits. So until the next one, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.